So, Joe Biden's Rainbow Coalition death cult just did an airstrike in Syria. So this is from Politico. So it looks like some Democrats are trying to rein in the gross abuses of power that were given to the president under things like the AUMF, which again led to the war in Iraq, which Joe Biden was a champion of, which he supported the AUMF then. And now we have this illegal, disgusting airstrike in Syria. Again, I ask you, how is Joe Biden's foreign policy any different than Trump's? Airstrikes were happening in Syria under Trump. Sanctions are still there. Sanctions are still on Venezuela, on Iran. We're still not getting out of Iraq, even though the people there have told us to fuck off and get out of their country numerous times. It's just intersectional imperialism now. We have, a very diverse cabinet raining down bombs and death and destruction all over the global fucking South, and it is disgusting. It's Tim Kaine, Hillary's running mate. Biden admin is taking heat from fellow Democrats as lawmakers pressure the White House to provide. No, there's no fucking legal justification for bombing Syria. We don't need to be there. We don't need to be sanctioning them. Those sanctions are crimes against humanity, just like this one. Those sanctions disproportionately affect the poor, the most vulnerable and marginalized among the civilian population in Syria, just like they do in Iran, Venezuela, etc. It's fucking disgusting. There is no moral, ethical, legal justification for the U.S. being in Syria at all, for these airstrikes, for the sanctions, etc. The White House is pledging to provide a classified briefing early next week and argued the airstrike was consistent with Biden's constitutional authority to defend the U.S. How is that defending the fucking U.S.? Syria is on the other side of the fucking globe. They are not trying to attack the U.S. You know what? To defending the fucking U.S. would be, Joe Biden? What happened to those $2,000 fucking stimulus checks? What happened to getting a $15 minimum wage? What happened to canceling student loan debt? What happened to giving everybody health care? Obviously, he never talked about that, but the other things he did. I mean, that, again, no matter who won the election, whether it was Biden or Trump, the military-industrial complex was going to come out on top. Now it just has a more woke intersectional appearance. We have the, head of the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense, is a black man. I believe, the head of the CIA or the Director of National Intelligence is a woman, etc. But nothing has changed. These people in the global South, these people in Syria, I'm sure they're feeling so much better that the head of the Pentagon is a black man who's now raining down death and destruction upon them, as opposed to, a white person under the Trump administration. Get the fuck out of here with that. That is just fucking disgusting. But the attack has given new ammunition to lawmakers who want to roll back broad. Yes, again, the Congress in the United States is the one who has the legal authority to declare war. We haven't obviously declared war on Syria. There should be no fucking reason we're dropping bombs there. There should be no reason we're sanctioning them. It's fucking disgusting. They need to know why President Joe... No, there is no fucking justification. Those people in Syria were not planning to attack the United fucking States. But doing shit like this gives people ammunition for further inciting hatred and violence toward the U.S. because of shit like this. And that's completely fucking understandable. How would you feel if some outside power was coming down, raining down airstrikes in your fucking country, destroying your homeland, as well as sanctioning the shit out of it? You'd be rightfully fucking pissed, as would I. this is obviously offensive military action, is not constitutional. Okay, let's impeach this motherfucker. Obviously, you know, Trump should have been impeached for doing the same shit, like the assassination of Soleimani, his airstrikes in Syria, these disgusting sanctions on all these countries that are crimes against humanity. And then again, what happened to Joe Biden rejoining the Iran nuclear deal, which Iran was in complete compliance before the U.S. unilaterally pulled out under the Trump administration? They're not doing that either. It's fucking disgusting. Ro Khanna, absolutely no justification for the Syria strike. Completely agree. This makes President Biden the 7th consecutive U.S. president to order strikes in the Middle East. Again, the United States is the biggest purveyor of death and destruction all around the world. This is just another shining fucking example of that, and no wonder why so many people around the world hate the United States and their government. This is Khanna again. We need to extricate from the Middle East, not escalate. Correct. Completely correct. And then, obviously, by not escalating, mean get the fuck out of there. Remove all the troops. Remove the sanctions. Syria needs help. Do it through diplomatic channels, actual humanitarian aid that's not tied to CIA front groups. The president should not be taking these actions without seeking explicit authorization instead of relying on broad, outdated AUMFs. That's the authorization to use military force. I spoke against endless war with Trump. I don't speak out against it when we have Democratic president. Yes, thank you, thank you. If it was fucked up when Trump did it, like the kids in cages, like the mass deportations, like the family separation, it's fucked up when Biden does it. Like how Biden has deported somewhere almost around 30,000 people already. And now, of course, it's not kids in cages. It's, you know, it's detention centers. And this is fucking disgusting, man. Fuck. Again, unfortunately, because both candidates were so fucking shitty, both Biden and Trump, no matter who won, military-industrial complex was going to come out on top. Unfortunately. The administration will provide a full classified briefing to lawmakers early next week, though it could come sooner if Congress wants it, the spokesperson added. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. This is so disgusting. If, you know, Democrats were actually the party of progress and the working people both here and abroad, this is literally an impeachable offense. Again, Congress has the power to declare war, the war power. President doesn't have that. This was a clear violation of U.S. and international law, a crime against humanity, an impeachable offense. If the Democrats actually had any spine or backbone, they would try to impeach Biden over this. It's disgusting. And again, it is so ridiculous to think that an airstrike in Syria is to defend the U.S. I mean, for God's sakes. So this is some National Security Council spokesperson. We had a rigorous process to include legal review of the strikes conducted that was overseen by Raytheon and other benefactors of the military-industrial complex. The strikes are necessary to address the threat and proportionate to the prior... Oh my fucking God. It's so disgusting. Look, unlimited, exponential amounts of money, year after year, wasted, going to the military-industrial complex to spread death and destruction all around the globe to poor brown and black people in the global south. And yet we can't get what happened in the $2,000 stimulus checks. Okay, what even happened in the $1,400 stimulus checks? What happened to student debt cancellation? What happened to getting health care? What happened to a $15 minimum wage? Oh, let's forget about that. This was a huge threat to national security, and of course, drop of a hat, billions and billions of dollars just being wasted to kill and maim people halfway or maybe all the way across the globe that obviously pose no fucking threat to me or you here in the United States. It's just fucking disgusting. Thursday's airstrike in Syria came in response to 3 rocket attacks against U.S. personnel in Iraq in the span of... Guess what? Again, the people in Iraq told us to get the fuck out of their country repeatedly. Their parliament voted, said get the fuck out. The people, there have been literally millions in the streets, millions of Iraqis in the streets marching, telling us to get the fuck out. So guess what? If we weren't there, if we would actually listen, again, we shouldn't have been there in the fucking first place. We've been there since 2003, fucking illegally, destroying, maiming, killing people there, disproportionately civilians. A rocket attack wouldn't have been able to happen if we had listened and got the fuck out of their country. So no, that is not a fucking justification. That's ridiculous. And again, that was in Iraq. This was Syria. That also doesn't make any fucking sense. The new U.S. strike targeted facilities in eastern Syria used by Iranian-backed militia groups that were linked to recent attack on U.S. forces. Again, Syria and Iraq, literally like this, share some of their borders with each other. If they want to have alliances, that's their fucking prerogative. They're both 2 sovereign countries. They can make those decisions for themselves. We may not agree with it. That's no fucking reason to be in Iraq, to be in Syria, to be bombing Syria, to be continuing to occupy Iraq, continuing to sanction Syria, etc. Or Iran. It's fucking disgusting. A necessary move to deter threats by Iran and its proxy forces in the region. Jesus Christ. It's fucking it's so disgusting, and anybody that tries to defend this, like, you seriously got a few screws loose in your head, and I would really like you to get that checked out, because again, there's no fucking justification for this. We don't need to be in the Middle East. There's no reason for us to have any fucking military bases overseas. We have 800, the US does. Again, priorities. Lots of money and resources for death and destruction, but here in the Imperial Core, we can't get universal health care. We can't get a living wage. We can't get student debt relief. But priorities, right? We gotta go kill and destroy people in the Middle East because they're a threat. You know what's a fucking threat? The military-industrial complex, the massive amount of resources they take that could be used for good both here in the U.S. and abroad, but it's not. And obviously Joe Biden's completely in line with that because he's president now. We can't say, oh, well, it's Trump. No, it's fucking Joe Biden still continuing these wars of imperial aggression and conquest. It's disgusting, and it needs to be called out. Again, if it's fucked up under Trump, it's also fucked up when Biden does it. Kane and Murphy have long pushed to repeal the 2001 authorization for use of military force and the 2002 Iraq War authorization and institute new guidelines for Congress. Yes, completely. Why are we not hearing more about that? Yes, because again, the War Powers Act resolution lies with Congress. That's not something the president, whether it be a Democrat or Republican, can declare by themselves. They need congressional approval. They have to go to Congress to get that. Did Joe Biden do that for this? No, meaning it's constitutional, disgusting, illegal. It needs to be called out for what it is. And then you have Republicans praising Joe Biden. That's never a good sign, right? Senate Armed Services Ranking Republican Jim Inhofe praised Biden and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in a statement arguing that the administration elected to continue the approach set by Look, yes, even the Republicans are saying it. There's no fucking difference between Biden and Trump with regards to imperialism and these disgusting, illegal, and completely unethical on every level, these wars of aggression. It's fucking disgusting. Christ, man. Oh, again, the Republicans are just pieces of shit as well. Mike Rogers of Alabama showed that the attacks on the American personnel and interests will not be tolerated. Again, if you really cared about American interests and personnel, you would be arguing like hell, fighting like hell to get the U.S. troops out of the Middle East, close down all the bases, end the sanctions, end the airstrikes. Don't you think that would maybe lift the image of the U.S. in the global south, in the Middle East in particular? Like, oh, yeah, the U.S. government actually is doing some good things right now. They're not raining down death and destruction on us. They're not sanctioning us into the Stone Age. They're closing down the military bases. They're now offering humanitarian aid that's not tied to the CIA. I might change my perspective of them a little bit because they're actually bringing good things into my life and not death, destruction, and famine. You think that would maybe go a pretty long way in helping the situation? Of course it would. It's just fucking disgusting. And what has the squad? Have they spoken up about this clear breach of constitutional powers and authority by the sitting U.S. President, Joe Biden? So this is Ilhan Omar's Twitter page. She put out this tweet, so it's something, but obviously that's not quite the vociferous opposition I would like to see. I mean, great question. So this is from she retweeted a quote from Jen Psaki, who again is Joe Biden's press secretary. Also, what is the legal authority for strikes? Assad is a brutal dictator, but Syria is a sovereign country. Okay, yes, great question. But I think obviously, a more appropriate tweet, like, what the fuck you doing, Joe Biden? This is illegal. You didn't go to Congress for the ability to conduct this airstrike. This is illegal. I will be drawing up articles of impeachment and looking for co-sponsors of it because you need to be accountable for this illegal action. So, I mean, at least she put it out there, but obviously that's not nearly enough. So AOC, do we have anything from her? Nope. Nothing from AOC about this illegal breach of power that was this airstrike in Syria. Nothing from her. Okay. What about Rashida Tlaib? Nothing from her either. So relative silence from the squad on this very, very hugely important issue. So nothing from her. This is AOC, her rep page. Nothing from her either. So, silence speaks volumes, doesn't it? It's fucking... Again, just an example of Joe Biden's intersectional imperialism. We got a diverse cabinet that still does the bidding of the military-industrial complex, and I'm sure that's to a great relief of the people in the Middle East right now, as the Raytheon, fighter jets or drones have a rainbow flag or Black Lives Matter on them as they're raining down hellfire on people in Syria and other places. It's fucking so disgusting. As Biden said, nothing would fundamentally change, and we've definitely, unfortunately, seen that to be true with the U.S.'s so disgusting and fucked up foreign policy that's largely based around imperialism and trying to make countries all over the world bend to the will of the U.S. and the U.S.'s partners, not for the betterment of the people in those countries, not for the betterment of the people in the U.S., but for the betterment of the special interests like the Raytheons, like the Boeings, like the General Dynamics of the world, and needs to be called out as such. Peace, much love. Like the video if you like the damn video. Subscribe for more content.